Hello everyone. In today's video, I would like to go through my story of becoming a Shopify developer and hopefully give you guys some advice about how um, you can go about doing something similar. Um, I'm becoming a Shopify developer. Feels weird saying that, but I guess I fit that definition or criteria. So let's start off with what is a Shopify developer? It's just someone who develops websites on the Shopify platform or who does it professionally. Um, and that's essentially it. So, with that definition in mind, how did I start off from knowing not knowing how to program? I didn't even know what HTML and CSS was to becoming a Shopify developer, working with the Shopify platform now for like 3.5 years. Built quite a few a lot of themes on the Shopify platform. Um, worked with the Worked on one major app. I didn't build it, but I worked on a few of the features. I worked on the code base. So how did that happen? What's my story? So that's what I want to get into today. So I guess I'll start off from when I finished my undergraduate studies at university. I did a degree in biomedical science. So after I did that, I realized I didn't want to do um, anything in that field. I didn't feel it was a good fit for me. So I thought of the idea of going into medicine or becoming a doctor. That seemed to be what my other colleagues were doing. So I kind of followed them. So I took a few of the medical exams. At the time, there was the GAMSAT and the UK and I took both. I did okay. I didn't do amazing. Did okay, and as part of that your application to medical school, you also had to get some experience. So I got a job in north of England. I'm from the south, in a town called Durham, and it's way up north, and it's very cold. I have no family there. I have no friends there, so I move up there, and I uh, work for a I work in a learning disability ward in the NHS, and I worked there for approximately 8 to 9 months, and it was a really good experience, and it exposed me to a lot of, um, I guess, to a lot of different skills I didn't have in terms of soft skills and how to interact with people and how to look after someone who, let's say, is not mentally there or can't function as a normal human being. So that was a really great experience. But after working in that job, I realized, okay, medicine was not for me. Um, Mostly because I realized there was a lot of red tape in terms of, let's say, I wanted to help someone. I would have to follow a specific protocol. So there was like there's very little creativity and flexibility, and you're limited in what you can do essentially to help someone. You have like a choice of three different options, three different medications to give someone, and you have those three choices, and that's it. Even though you might think there's a better route to go down, you have to go through all this red tape and discuss with a number of different people, and I just felt that it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me, and there's a few other reasons as well, but I realized it wasn't for me. So I was a bit confused at that time. I was 23, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and my other colleagues seemed to know what they wanted to do. So I decided just to do what everyone else does and travel, um, see if I could open up my mind and I could find like a career path that I wanted to go down. So I traveled to Asia. So I traveled to Asia and I traveled to a bunch of different countries: South Korea, Vietnam, Malaysia, Cambodia, and a few others. And it was during this time I got to read a lot of different books, and I stumbled across a autobiography, I think, about Elon Musk, and it talks about how he built PayPal and the PayPal mafia, and how he taught himself to code. And that part really hit me. I thought, whoa, he taught himself build some software that helped millions of people, and he did it by himself. And I understood that it was a very different time back then. It was a dot-com bubble, so there's a lot of opportunities, and a lot of those opportunities now have been taken. But I still thought the ability to build something somewhat single-handedly is quite a remarkable skill. And I like that creativity and that flexibility in that you can build something, put it on the market, and then you can see kind of if it works or not. When other industries like law or medicine, you got a lot of scaffolding in place, and which is a good thing. It stops people doing silly things, but that also limits your creativity and what you can do, which I didn't like. So I thought, wow, okay, I want to learn how to program or build some websites, just basic stuff really. And I attended a coding course for a month, and it was at that point that I started applying for a few different roles. Um, I wasn't a great developer, so I have no natural ability when it comes to software development or logic or anything like that. And it was at this time that I applied for a role, and it was a customer support position. So it was just answering messages uh, from customers, and then fixing issues they may have for an app. And there was a guy, his name is Felix. I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning this. He probably won't watch this. But anyway, I think he was a CEO at the time of that app. And the app was called Judge.me, and they're a review app. So they create widgets which allow Shopify store owners to display the reviews of their products or their store. And and he gave me the opportunity to join the team at the time, and it was for a very meager salary. I mean, it was like £400, so like $600. I'm not sure about the conversion rate, but it's very very small amount per month. This came up to like I think like £2 an hour, which is in England it's crazy. But I was in Asia at the time, so it was somewhat livable. It was like £2 an hour, and it's a full time job. And so I did that for 8 months, and it was quite a struggle because you're on a very very low salary. But I was learning a lot of new skills, so I accepted that I have to go through this phase of poverty to learn the skills I need to progress. Um, so I learned a lot of HTML, CSS. I got familiar with the Shopify platform. Um, I started answering more complicated customer support queries, like how does our API work, and how does it integrate with Shopify. And I got to learn a lot of different things, or things you wouldn't consider if you were building a Shopify store for the first time. Um, so it was a super great experience. And I got to learn a bunch about Shopify, and that was my introduction to the Shopify world. Judge.me. And so I worked there for 8 months, and then I took a boot camp, a coding boot camp, and that's where I learned front end, back end, and I progressed to becoming a full stack software developer at Judge.me, and they were using Ruby on Rails, which is a back end framework um, for the front end also, because Ruby on Rails is like a full stack language, so you can use it on the front end also, and it was great. I mean, you got to learn about more complicated ideas in software like webhooks and caching and dealing with APIs and databases and database queries and a bunch of stuff, and it was incredible. I mean, I'm extremely grateful for them giving me the opportunity. The owner is called PJ. He gave me the opportunity, and Lin Dam. Um, they gave me the opportunity to work as a full stack developer at Judge.me, and it was super great experience. However, that after 2 years, that did end, and I moved back to the UK, where I worked for a number of different Shopify merchants. So I first worked at a Shopify store called Luca Filoni, like an Italian menswear store. And initially, I was only the developer there, so I was in charge of pretty much everything when it came to the website. I built apps that would handle API requests, and um, I would I look at the analytics of how how the features we build would affect conversion, and I learned a bunch of stuff there also. And so I have to thank Luca Filoni and Philip and Pauline, and there's a bunch of other people there that were very nice to me when I was there, and they gave me the opportunity to work there. And after a year and a bit, that ended also, and I moved to a company called Eve Sleep, which is also a uh, Shopify Plus store, which just means they pay quite a bit of money for some additional features that Shopify provide. And it's there that I think Eve Sleep was a real game changer for me in terms of what I understood about Shopify theme development. Um, they use tooling that I had never used before, and it was quite advanced for me. And I have to thank Dave, Faye McLean, I think Liam Darby, that's his name. Yeah, they were great, especially Liam. He really opened my eyes to um, side of front end development that I never experienced. He's a very good, very intelligent person, and a good front end developer from my perspective. So we learned about I learned about build pipelines. At the time, Shopify just released their 2.0 version, which was like considered a massive upgrade, and it still is a massive upgrade compared to what we had before. So there's a GitHub integration and Git subtree and all this complicated stuff. But the build pipeline was a real game changer for me. It basically allows you to write in developer friendly coding languages and convert that into what Shopify wants, which isn't so developer friendly. And so that was a super game changer, and it had a quite a big impact on performance as well, because you can minimize code, um, minimize this code that you convert. So the developer friendly code into Shopify friendly code, you can make it the file size a lot smaller, so it has an impact on performance. And throughout my time at Judge.me and Luca Filoni and Eve Sleep, and performance has been like always a factor that you consider, that merchants consider, and um, developers consider. So that was something that I always kept in mind. That's one of the reasons why I think that's become an area that I've tried to really improve in and understand, which is the reason why I offer some services related to Shopify speed optimization and whatnot. So my time at Eve Sleep ended a bit sooner than I would have liked, unfortunately. And I currently work for an agency, Shopify agency called Bluebolt, and they are a Shopify agency. So they help out a bunch of different UK brands, typically, will with their stores, Shopify stores. And we work with some major brands like Tetley, it's a tea company in the UK, Tea Pigs. There are a few others as well that I'm forgetting the names of, but um, yeah, I have to thank all the people that work there. It's a really great culture there. You have the owner, Chris, and um, Richard, and Lee, and all other developers and the team that have a really great like family oriented culture. So I really appreciate working there. And that, working there has also been a game changer for me, because I've never worked with so many developers before. At Social.me, there was like 6 or 7, where I think at Blue Bolt there's maybe 13 or 14 designers and developers. So it's quite a big team. So in terms of scaling, it was a real mindset shift for me. And some of the tooling they use is a bit different to what I'm used to, but I'm slowly getting used to it. Um, so yeah, that concludes my journey into Shopify. I don't know if this is probably going to be a massive rant and probably annoy a lot of people, but it's fine. Hopefully this helps someone. I guess I have some advice that maybe someone else wants to get into the Shopify developer space, or wants to learn more about Shopify development. I would recommend. I'll give one piece of advice, which is uh, learn concepts over syntax or frameworks, because syntax and frameworks and all this, it will change. It will change just like everything else. It evolves, it changes, it improves. But there are things that are consistent like throughout the decades, and those are the principles that you want to learn. Just so this isn't too woo woo. An example is consistency. That's a principle. You'll see it in almost a lot of the software books that you read, like Clean Code, um, even like books about CSS or JavaScript. You'll see it across different programming languages, and that's being consistent. So consistent in terms of your naming things, in terms of um, um, the queries that you make, and the file names. Um, yeah, consistency is a big thing in software. And it's a principle that has been proven to be very important for having a maintainable code base and a developer friendly code base. And developer friendly code bases generally result in better software and less technical debt, which enables features to be created faster. And as you know, that being able to create features quickly or get features out quickly to the market is essential in the software world. So I hope this helps. I'm planning on releasing a Shopify theme development course. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. Feel free to subscribe to it. I plan on releasing it maybe next year or the following year because I really want to make it a good course. And ideally, I want to make it principle oriented rather than syntax or framework oriented, so that it can be useful for a long period of time. I think Shopify did in the 2.0 release. They changed a bunch of stuff and they added new features, and the material that was available online just a few years ago is not useless, but is less useful now because of the changes they've made. So yeah, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for listening.